Alright, since today I have really nothing to talk about, let's just talk about gears. Let's talk about the cameras that I use for filming and making vlogs and making all these like movies that I make every single day. But before we start, I'm actually gonna tell you guys that I'm gonna start trying to make a vlog or a movie or a video every single day. I'm gonna make something out of nothing, just so we can stay disciplined with the uploading and stay consistent. But without further ado, let's get into cameras. Alright, but before we start, let me turn on some lights so we look good. Alright, first on our list is the Insta360. This is actually the Insta360 One X2. The new one has like the big screen, but just like the GoPro 9, 10, 11, I don't really know the difference between all three of those, and I feel like they just change a little bit every single year. But I don't think it's necessary that you need like a high quality when it comes to like action cameras, because they're all action cameras. They're all gonna look not as good as what I'm filming on, so doesn't really matter for me. What matters for me is the way you capture the videos and how you're gonna use the camera and your purpose on using it. For instance, the Insta360, you see that Insta360, you get it? For instance, the Insta360, my purpose is to capture like third-person view. You know, if you guys play video game, you know what a third-person view like, when you can see the whole person and not just myself. So you know, this is my whole purpose of it, so that I can just pretty much have this and just like point it out and you guys can see my background, my back, my side, the whole thing. You know, it's a really good like camera to have like a different perspective of videos. If you can get the hands on these, is definitely, I would suggest getting one. But this is not, you cannot use this for vlogging. Like, there's just no way you can use this for vlogging. You can use this if you want to do reels like TikTok or YouTube shorts, then you can use one of these. If you're going to travels and stuff like that, then you can use one of these. But like what I said, the quality is not going to be as good as like filming like on a camera. I mean, even iPhones, like the new ones, are really good compared to this one. But you can definitely mix like the iPhone clips and Insta360 and make like reels, TikTok and YouTube shorts. So I feel like when it comes to those type of content, like the vertical content, you can definitely use this, and it's really good to combine it with your phone. You know, film here, film there, and then maybe capture like your perspective and stuff like that. So it's really good. Really highly suggest you, if you guys want to do some cool transitions and, you know, use it for videos, TikTok, instant reels, or whatever the case may be. Moving on to the next one, I have a GoPro Hero 10, and this camera is really good when in terms of like underwaters and action cameras that you need like waterproof in. So you know, sometimes I cannot film in a big camera under the sea or under the ocean, you know, so I gotta use one of these. And this one is a really good one because it has like the front face screen, so you can pretty much see yourself. This camera is really good in terms of POV as well, so you can mount it. I have mounts on this, and the good part about this is you don't need to buy a case to mount it. You can just pretty much just mount whatever, you know, with the GoPro accessories. I have the head mount where you can do like POVs, or if you guys see me do some deliveries, I literally just put this in my chest, have the chest mount from GoPro, and just literally just clip this on. So this one is really good in terms of like doing POVs, and if you need both of your hands doing something, then this is a really great camera to use. You can use this for vlogging if you want, but I won't really suggest it, especially for the price point of this. You know, GoPro here is 10 or 11, they're around $400 to $500. Then you're much better off having like a better camera. Speaking of a much better camera, you know, you would just rather have one of these, which is like a point and shoot camera. So you would just rather have one of these. This is actually, let me remove the sleeves. Actually put a sleeve on this, but this is actually the Sony ZV-1F. So the Sony ZV-1F is a really good camera for point and shoot. I just used one of those like silicone case just because it doesn't feel like good holding this camera, so that's why I bought one of those cases, so I got grip, because I feel like if I hold this without no grip, I feel like it's just gonna slip off every single time. And that's why I have this lanyard as well, so I can just like pretty much film with it. And this is a really nice camera, especially if you're shy to bring cameras or like everywhere, you know, like vlogging outside. I know some people still have fear on vlogging outside and being seen by other people outside making videos, so having a small camera like this is really a necessity. Like, you really need one of these. I highly suggest starting one of these just to pretty much build your confidence so that you can carry like a big camera that I'm using right now. I mean, still to this day I still have fear on like walking outside and making a video with a big camera, but sometimes I really don't care, you know. It just really depends on where I'm at. Like if I'm in a mall, then obviously I'm like shy bringing this big camera, but if I'm in like public and like restaurants and stuff like that, I wouldn't really mind like carrying these big cameras. And that's why I always have these just in backup, so that in case like I'm gonna go and then I can't bring this, I can just really pull this out, and just it's really small and nobody really care of what you make, like what videos you make. So it's like, yeah, which is a really good one. I highly suggest grabbing one of these if you are starting to make a video and starting making vlogs. There's a lot out there, you know, Sony ZV-1F, Sony ZV-1, Canon G7X Mark III, Canon G7X Mark II. There's really a ton of point and shoot camera that's out there. If you're gonna ask me, I would pick the Sony ZV-1 Mark II, which is the second one that came out about a month or two ago. It's actually have a wider lens, you know, so it's like a wider lens, so you can see your face, and you know, it's not too close up in your face. And of course the second one is my baby, which is the Sony ZV-1F. This thing is I think a 20 millimeter lens, so it's a really wide lens that you can vlog with, which is pretty cool. The stabilization is really not as good as having a big camera, obviously. I mean, obviously if you got like cameras like this, is like the image stabilization is not as gonna be as good as other ones. Like this camera is really good, especially if you partner it up with the ND filter. This thing shoots the f2.0, which means that you're gonna have like a blurry background like this. You see how like you have blurry background, so you're gonna achieve like that if you actually have one of these ZV-1F and have an ND filter, because the ND filter is just going to help you shoot in manual and help you have your focal length on 2.0. The focal length is actually the one that's going to make you have a blurry background, you know, so the one that says F on your camera. I don't know if I can show you guys here, but right there, like this is the one that's going to help you like have a blurry background. The lower that number is, the more blurry the background is. So but yeah, this thing shoots up to f2.0, so it has a blurry background and really nice, shoots in 4K. The only thing about this is you cannot really zoom as much, you know, like in this camera, like you can't really zoom as much as other cameras or other point and shoot. Yep, but the only downside about this is the battery life is not as good as having a big camera. I'm shooting on a Sony ZV-1F because I'm going to show you guys the big camera, but this is what I'm talking about zooming. It's not as much as zoom as the other cameras is, so just keep that in mind. But this is my baby right here. So this is the Sony A7C. This is actually a full frame camera. Full frame means like you have a bigger chip inside, so you guys can see how big the chip is. You'll notice it if you buy an APS-C camera, which is like a smaller chip. But yeah, I started with a Sony A6400 before coming into a full frame, so I broke that, like I broke the screen. Now I just use it as a webcam for my stream and stuff like that. So yeah, I broke the screen on that one, so the screen is just completely black, and by me plugging an HDMI cable into the computer cam link, I can pretty much see like, you know, the camera, but the screen is broken, so it's like completely black. You can't even see yourself, like the screen like this is broken, so gotta plug it in the computer so I can see myself. So I just used it as a webcam. But Sony A7C is a full frame camera. I bought this for I think $1,700. But yeah, if that's too much for your budget, you can have like a more cheaper option like the Sony A6400, Sony A6700 I think came out, Sony A6600. So those cameras have like almost the same look except they flip out. I think the new one's the Sony A6700, which is, it flips like this too, but it's an APS-C, so you won't get as much as like blurry background as you get from this one because the chip is smaller. But yeah, this is actually my baby Sony A7C. Always wanted a full frame camera, so I got one, and I can never ask for more because this thing captures like really good image, really good videos. Captures in 4K 24 and 30 frames per second. It doesn't capture in 4K 60, but I don't really need 4K 60 because most of the time I just shoot in 24 frames because of the simple fact that that's what movies are shoot. You know, it just looks more cinematics when you shoot on 24 frames compared to shooting 60 frames, because the explanation to that is the movement in real life. Like when you do this, like you see blur, and it's not like as like the 60 frames where it's like so smooth. So you know, that's just like the explanation to that. But yeah, this is my baby. I paired it up with a 10 to 18 millimeter lens from an APS-C camera, because like what I said, I came from like a APS-C camera, which is a Sony A6400, and I broke like the lens, bro, but it still works. So I just don't have like the focus ring. So since this thing has an autofocus, it doesn't really matter, because you know, all I need is to zoom in and out, and it still works. So I can just pretty much use it till I get a new one, till I get the money to get a new one. I really hope to get like one of those Sony 16 millimeter to 16 to 35 f2.8 G Master lens, which costs an arm and a leg. I think it's about $1,500, like $1,000 to $1,500. So it really is a lot of money. So that's one thing to keep in mind when you're buying like cameras like this, especially Sony's. They really cost an arm and a leg for a lens. You know, like the body itself already costs like a lot of money, and then you're gonna buy a lens that you need, like a wide angle. You know, when in terms of lens, I prefer having two lens that. So in terms of lens, what I can advise you guys is you need a wide angle lens, which I have, the 10 to 18 millimeters, a wide angle lens, and then you need a like a long lens, which is like a 18 to 135 millimeter. This thing will really zoom really like far, so you need one of these as well, just because for the variety of like filming. For me, that's both of the lens that I actually need in terms of making videos and making vlogs on a big camera. Is you really need something that you can zoom in really like far away, and something that you can have like a wide angle lens that you can vlog with. So hopefully one day we'll upgrade to Sony 16 to 35. Moving on to what's the best camera for your buck. If you guys are gonna start YouTube and you're just gonna use it for vlogging, just for everyday, you know, filming your day in the life, just everyday, you know, using for your going here, going there, about to go grocery shopping, about to go cooking, go home, you know, just to run your errands and just pretty much just vlog your whole entire day, I suggest just buying one of these point and shoot camera, you know, like the Sony ZV-1, Sony ZV-1F. This is really gonna be a big, like, this is gonna be the camera that you need. You know, and this thing has a I mean, I bought this aftermarket, but it has a hot shoe mount. So if you take this out, actually have a hot shoe mount that you can put your mic in, you know. So this is a really good, way better than the G7X, because the G7X doesn't have a mount like this where you can mount your microphone. So that's the downside about the G7X. Doesn't really have like the mount for, you know, the microphone. And this thing has a flip out screen, so you can pretty much do this, do that. And if you want to use it for TikTok, you can just pretty much use it vertically, and it will turn your image into vertically automatically, you know. So ooh, that rhymes accidentally. Ooh, I'm just rhyming out here. But yeah, so you can pretty much use this camera for vertical videos if you're trying to make some TikTok videos, or you can use it for, you know, vlogging. So that's that. But if you're more pursuing more than just making a vlog and making a video, if you're pursuing more than that, more of like a filmmaking, more of like you can do some photo shoots, maybe do some videography, maybe do some cinematography, maybe some wedding shoots, then I highly suggest getting one of these cameras that I have, full frame, you know, or crop sensor cameras, you know, just better than the point and shoot. Get you a DSLR. It's just gonna be much better quality. Don't buy a DSLR that are not like good quality, like the Canon SL2, Canon SL3, like, you know, don't buy those type of DSLR. Buy the real ones, you know, buy like the actual good build, like Sony A6400, Canon 80D, Canon 70D, Canon 90D, Canon 6D, you know, whatever the thing they have right now, R1, something like that, Canon R6, you know, one of these like Sony A7C 6400s and Sony A7S and stuff like that. Don't buy one of those like lower DSLR intro level, because you will never, I mean, you can achieve cinematography and videography, of course. It depends on, you know, who uses the camera, you know what I mean? Like, you can achieve everything, but it's just like it will be harder than shooting in the cameras like this. As you guys can see, my vlogs is very like, you know, cinematic and stuff like that. So that's just that. That's just my best advice for you guys. So if you guys learned something new, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, turn on post notification, and I'll catch you guys in the next vlog. See you tomorrow. Bye.